Okay, welcome everyone. Just one more time, can you all hear me and see me? Okay, good. Thank you all for coming on a Saturday morning if you are in India and slightly different time zones if you are in other parts of the world. Let us get started. Okay, so this is kind of the 16th session in our uh, new after we started the new mode of or the live mode of classes. So the first 10 was focused on understanding about Azure fundamentals, especially about preparing for the AZ 900 certification. But so this session, even though it is live streamed only to Azure group, it is not just limited to Azure alone, because we'll be doing two tracks of live projects. So one on AWS and one on Azure. That is the reason why I have shared the same invite to both the AWS group and Azure group. But in future sessions, AWS will have a separate set of sessions and separate WhatsApp group, and everything will be separate with compared to Azure. But once in a while, we will meet together, and then we will discuss on how things are proceeding in these two tracks. It will also give you an opportunity to understand how very same or very similar project can be implemented in both AWS and Azure, and you can even compare which one is easier or which one makes more sense. Okay, so there are lots of advantages for this approach. Are you ready to get started? One more thing, so I mentioned 16 sessions, and out of the 16, first 10 were specific to Azure for Azure Cloud, and even AWS also had close to 10 sessions sometime back, and last 5 were actually on a different topic, PowerShell by Kiran. The reason is because I want more of you to come forward, take sessions, and then interact and then grow yourself. Okay, if I only take sessions, then only I will grow. And that said, so today we will not have any presentations, at least for now. So we will have an official session with the presentations later based on whichever track you choose. And so currently for the AWS book, there is also one more advantage that we'll be also writing a book alongside it with a leading publisher. And for Azure also we'll be writing, but the contract for the book is not yet signed. For the AWS, it is already signed. Anybody who participate in any of these projects can get their names listed in these books. So that is one added advantage for participating, because you can definitely tell in interviews or wherever you go that I have participated in this, and then if somebody asks you what is the proof that you have participated in this, you can just take the book and show, which will be published across the globe. Okay, so that is one added advantage. Okay, now coming back to the project initiative. So there were lots of questions within the groups that we manage, that we are preparing for certification, we are getting ready for job. So how can we actually have some real hands-on experience doing projects? Okay, so we were thinking hard about it, and then another question that came up was that how can we have at least a lab experience. So there were two questions. So one is hands-on real world experience, and then one is a hands-on lab experience. And one of the challenges that at least people from the Azure side faced was you need a credit card, not a debit card, to actually sign up for Azure services. And then a few participants did not had a credit card, and then they were not able to do labs. So we have thought about a new way of doing labs, which is where we will have multiple smaller groups. Okay, so in all these smaller groups, at least one person will have an account. And our main initiative, which is Azure Projects. Before going into Azure Projects, I would like you to tell me your exposure with Azure. Okay, you can tell you are a complete beginner for B. You are certified. You can say C. You are certified and you are working on Azure. Then you can say CW. Can you send it to panelists and attendees? Okay, everybody send to panelists and attendees so that everybody can see. Because if you send to only panelists, only I can see. Okay, BCB. Yeah, Kumar Magalam has CW. Others CC, BBB certified but not working. Yeah, B, but exploring Azure portal again B. Okay, so many of you are beginners to Azure, and many of you are actually certified also. So, do you think so? This certification or Azure knowledge is just enough to work on a project? So, unlike other sessions, this is not a PPT based session. I want you to interact. So, what else do you think is needed to work on a real project? Okay, so sample project end to end. That is what we will be doing in the end. We need a real time scenario based project. Need to know the requirements, core concept regarding networking, scripting, good part. So most people are telling a dummy project where everybody can explore the concepts of Azure. Okay, so if you do a dummy project, okay, some dummy sample project, do you think you can really become an expert in that area? If that was the case, if you could do it without any knowledge or experience or exposure, then most of the companies, what they do? So most of the companies they work on real world projects, right? Why don't they simply take everybody and then put them into real world projects? So when I say real world projects, it has to be real. It shouldn't be a dummy. So whatever we do should be real world projects. So what do you think is important? If doing a real world project can make you good in working with real world projects, all the companies don't have to do any interviews, right? So they will just take people, they will just put them into some projects, and so once after they do a project, they should be good about doing any kind of projects, and then they will be ready to do any kind of projects, right? So there shouldn't be a need for a interview. So how many of you have attended interviews from good product based companies? So let us say one of the top cloud provider companies, Google, Microsoft, or AWS. They do not check for your cloud understanding in their interviews. Okay, so they do not check for your cloud understanding alone, because if you are going for Microsoft Azure based interview, so they will in most cases they will tell you you need to be familiar with any of the cloud providers. It may not be Azure. The reason is because if you are working good in any cloud provider, and if you know the essentials, then you can pick up any other cloud provider very fast. For example, if you are working on virtual machines in Azure and virtual machines in AWS, the concept of virtual machines does not change. The concept of hypervisor does not change. Okay, so there may be certain core details that might be different. For example, if you have attended at least the first session in all these series, okay, all these tech series from either AWS or Azure, I had mentioned about virtual machines, and then how virtual machines became containers, and how containers became serverless, and all those things, right? People are still making innovations. So one of the problem that uh, most of the cloud providers faced by using containers for serverless and other kinds of things was that sometimes the security boundary of containers is not as strong as that of virtual machines. That is where I think now AWS recently, I think AWS only built something called as Firecracker, which is a micro VM. So how many of you have heard the concept of micro VM? I am sure you would have heard the concept of virtual machines and containers. How many of you have heard the concept of micro VMs in between? A tool or a product called Firecracker. How many of you have heard about it? Innovations are happening everywhere, even in at cloud provider side. The idea of micro VM is that it is lightweight, similar to containers, but it still has all the virtualization boundaries similar to a virtual machine. Innovations happen everywhere, and if you want to be a, a real engineer who want to work on cloud or you want to work on innovations, you have to learn about it. You shouldn't be reinventing the wheel. Okay, so first quality that you should try to acquire is not just taking certifications. Certifications are always good because they give you some kind of uh, certification that you know certain things, or even when you have prepared from some sample questions, you still have put some effort to go there, sit there, and then write that certifications. That itself says something. But apart from that, you need to actually invest a little bit of your time in learning something new every day. Or even if it may not be learning something new, it should be uh, learning about what is happening new. So there is a book I was reading recently called 0 to 1. So it says, so there are two kinds of innovations. One is taking something that is already there and improving it. So that kind of innovation is called as 1 to N innovation. Or doing something differently from that is not available, which is called as 0 to 1 innovation. Okay, so you should all try for 0 to 1 innovation in your life, and for that to happen, your knowledge base should be very strong. Okay, your knowledge base should be very strong. You should understand what is happening around. Okay, so that is where you should spend at least 10-15 minutes in reading about what is happening new. You should attend conferences. You should attend meetups that discuss on something that is happening new in the industry. So that is where actually meetups and conferences will help. So that is why most of the Saturday sessions from now on, we will be focusing on such meetups. It is not limited to me or any of the trainers in the group. So anybody can let me know, schedule a session on any new topic that you are working on at your office, or you want to share, and we can schedule a slot, and then you can take your session. Okay, so don't worry if you whether you will make a mistake or not. So you have to do that. Then only you will make mistakes, and then only you will learn. Okay, as I have mentioned in previous sessions, that I have also started taking sessions in meetups, local meetups in Bangalore, and then conferences and all those things. So which eventually made me better than I was before. But I don't think I am better, a very good public speaker. So I have a long way to go. So even I am attending other sessions, reading other books to become a better public speaker. Okay, so that is one thing you should strive for. Okay, that is also one new focus that we will have. Okay, so that is one thing, understanding what is new to avoid reinventing the wheel. And second thing, coming back to our point on what these companies ask for interviews, it is not about whether Azure has this feature or how to implement this feature. So it is mostly about system design fundamentals. Okay, so there are many things that comes under system design fundamentals that can help you build your application. Okay, so how many of you here have heard about these concepts or terms called as 12-factor app and 15-factor app? How many of you have heard about at least one of them, 12-factor app or 15-factor app? So if you want to actually learn and grow, then you have to participate. Yeah, yes, 12-factor app is one of the sessions. So we have not had a session on 12-factor app, but I have mentioned it briefly in the initial session, I believe. Okay, not heard. Heard 12-factor. Okay, so next question is, how many of you have heard about the term called cloud native? Okay, so if you have not heard, don't worry. You just say, if you have heard, you can say yes. If you have not heard, you can say no. Okay, so yeah, Karthik is telling you can use 12 factor to make cloud native applications. Okay, cloud native, microservices, or container. So there are many definitions. Okay, so tell me one thing: are cloud native applications native or specific to a particular cloud provider? Definitely no. So that is something which I no, I believe not. Okay, so that is something which we discussed in session 1, and I even shared you a shared you a definition from the book Beyond 12 Factors, where the author is discussing about 15 factors, and then there is a definition from that book, or a description from that book, that says cloud native does not mean it is specific to cloud. But the problem is that uh, the term cloud native have become so popular that we cannot change it now. So the native gives us an impression that it is native to a cloud, but it is not the case. It is something which is built for the cloud. Okay, so which is built for the cloud, which can run on the cloud, which is optimized for the cloud. This 12 factor app uh, was built, or was primarily made popular by a company called, can you tell that company which primarily made this 12 factor app, or made this 12 factor app popular? Okay, it was Heroku. So there are many things that is happening around. So you should read more of it. And if you go to a real interview for a real product company, so they will not just ask you about uh, only what do you do on the cloud. Okay, so this is again not a session for preparation for interviews, but why I mentioned about interviews is because so they do interviews in that way, not just because they have to do it in that way, because there should be some reason behind that. So there should be checking your core engineering fundamentals, because if you know your essential engineering fundamentals, then you should be able to do many of these things with ease, and you can also, you will also understand all these things. Okay, so now I will ask you something. So can you take down a pen and paper? Okay, or just use your hands. Okay, so I will tell few terms. Okay, you should know, you should if you know it well, then you should add 1, and if you don't know, just add 0, or don't add anything. Okay, if you are using fingers, you can if you know something, you can add 1, and if you don't know anything, you don't have to do anything. Then again, if you know something, you can add 1, and so on. Okay, I'll be talking about around 20-25 terms, but I am assuming your numbers will be less than 10. Otherwise, you will be definitely a good engineer expert. Okay, so and then in the end you have to tell me that number. Okay, if anybody is there in Facebook live, they can do it in Facebook chat, and I will look at it later. But you are always free to come to the Zoom meeting. It is again free. So, and we have a lot of space inside Zoom also. Okay, so there is no limitation. So if you know these things really well, then you have to add 1. If you don't know, do not add 1. Okay, so first is a client server model, then IP protocol, then TCP protocol, then HTTP protocol. So then the difference between file storage and object storage, differences between cloud features that we learned in session 1, such as latency, throughput, and availability, and also fault tolerance and disaster recovery. Do you know all these things well, and can you distinguish? Okay, it can be one. What do you mean by caching? Okay, so and then what are proxies? Next one is what are load balancers, and again next one is what do you mean by hashing? So hashing means you whether you know the whether you how hashing works, what are hash buckets, how data is put into hash buckets, and then what benefits you will be getting by using a hash bucket. If you know all those things, you can say you can add 1, and then databases, whether you know the difference between RDBMS and NoSQL databases, and also as part of that, whether you understand what is the CAP theorem. Okay, how consistency, availability, and partition tolerance in CAP theorem allow you to categorize databases, and also different kinds of NoSQL databases such as key value store, document store, graph data stores, columnar stores, and the like, whether you know it or not. Okay, and then whether you know about infrastructure as code, the concept of infrastructure as code, or when you say you know about these things, you should have a decent idea about either JSON or YAML. And another is do you understand the logging and monitoring concepts well? And do you know about the publish subscribe pattern? And do you know about HTTPS? And why do you need it? Next one is have you heard about or know about API first design? And alongside, do you know about RESTful web services? Don't worry if you don't know even any of these, and it is also good if you know all of these, because I'll be focusing my sessions on whatever you know and whatever you don't know. So if everybody say that you know everything, then I don't have to focus on these things, right? Okay, so can you all share the numbers in chat? Okay, we'll just take one example and then we will deep dive into others later. How many of you here said they know about API first design? So can you say A? So how many of you say here they know about RESTful web services? You can say R. And if you know both about API design and RESTful, you can even say AR. We will do a very simple exercise. Imagine that we are going to build a gamification app. So what do you mean by gamification? So having points, okay, having points, because scoring, because one of the questions that I asked in one of the previous sessions was that do you want to have a point system for our group activities, so that if you do something good, you will get points, and if you do something bad, you will lose points. Okay, so that is a simple thing that we can do to start with, which will be used because across our groups we have around 40k people, and so we will use our tool, our this real world tool for gamification for all these people, and we'll build integration so that it can be integrated with other tools also, maybe Zoom or whatever tools we want, we can integrate it as long as it is API based. Okay, so whenever you say such an app, we are building an app, it will have a front end and it will also have a back end, right? So, and in general, whenever we go with the cloud native applications, okay, you will have, you will not, so there are two kinds of, two ways to build UI applications these days. So one is the traditional thin client approach, where your server code, your UI code will be part of your server code. So if you have worked with JSPs in Java, ASPs in .NET or PHP, and all those things, you write your code at server side. Okay, that is one approach. And another approach is you have thick clients like such as Angular or React and all those things. That is a trend now. So you will have a UI based on any of those technologies, and your backend will be exposing APIs as REST APIs. Okay, and then your front end can communicate. Okay, as we will see in our real world project. So exposing is one thing, and then we will have to do a lot of other things such as CDN, hardening security, and a lot of other things to make it a real world application. Okay, we will do all those things in coming days. But before that, one simple exercise. So can you design a RESTful endpoint? Okay, so you can, so this question, if you want, you can send to only panelists. Can you design a RESTful endpoint? Okay, you have to only ping the endpoint. Okay, no, you don't have to ping everything. So just design a RESTful endpoint for our points app. So you should have users, and users will have points. So very, how many of you know what do you mean by CRUD operation? If you don't know, you can say no. Then I will explain about it. Okay, CRUD operation means create, read, update, and delete. So okay, so CRUD operation means so generally whenever you build a application, whenever you design an application, you plan for your CRUD operations. Okay, so in this case, what are the CRUD operations? I need to simple ones. Okay, I need to add points. I need to maybe delete points. I need to update points, and I need to read points for a particular user. Okay, so delete points is not very important, because if you delete the user, it can get deleted. But assume that we have these 4 operations. Okay, so can you ping me the URL for these operations? So ping only to panelists so that others will not see. I want to know how you design things. Okay, just URL for these 4 operations, RESTful URL. Do not worry if whether you will make a mistake. Okay, everybody have to do if you really want to learn. Okay, otherwise you will not learn. Because some people say if a session is free, it does not have value. But I believe that as long as you put effort, then you get a feeling that I have put some effort and I have earned it, and I have not just watched it. So you will definitely get the benefits. If a free does not have any value, then how come a lot of open source projects are becoming more and more popular? Okay, so yeah, so you have to be frank. So honestly, I didn't get the concept. Sorry, no problem. Okay, so okay, now everybody who pinged all these things to me can ping to everyone, to panelists and attendees. Okay, so this sessions, I want it to be interactive, not like we always do, going through PPTs, and I tell something, you listen something, and you think about something else. Okay, so this has to be interactive, otherwise there is no point in coming to these sessions. Okay, yeah. So you have to do things without fear. Okay, then only you can learn. Okay, and this Zoom meetings are free for everybody, so you can come. We don't have any limit in the number of people we can accommodate. If Zoom's limit reaches, I have more tools to at a time I can have up to 5,000. Okay, so many people have pinged only to me. Maybe they are afraid, but don't worry. Okay, so now, okay, I will tell few things. Okay, so everybody in this group, at least most of you said they know about RESTful services, they know about API first design. Okay, API first design is a concept. And so how many of you know the difference between REST and SOAP? So SOAP was there before REST came. How many of you know the difference between SOAP and REST? Okay, don't know, no problem. Because so these are the things that are asked in interviews, not because they like to ask some fancy terms. Because if you know these things, you will design your applications better, and you will even be better productive. Okay, so initially there was something called as SOAP. So, and SOAP is a protocol. So it was SOAP generally came or it became synonymous to something called as service-oriented architecture. So it was also referred to as a service-oriented architecture protocol by some people, and also simple object access protocol by some other people. But the thing is, it had a protocol. It had a XML based syntax. The idea was that SOAP was used to communicate between two different kinds of applications, maybe a Java application to .NET over different protocols, or a .NET application to PHP application. So it was ultimately through XML, but the difference was that this XML had a particular syntax. Okay, in simple terms, I'm not going to go deeper into SOAP because SOAP is almost extinct. Okay, so there was a syntax for this XML, and that syntax had to be followed everywhere. Okay, and what is the problem with that approach? The problem with that approach was that you need to, so to read it, you need to have a software that can understand this XML special syntax. Okay, so your web browser will not have the logic to understand that special syntax. So even for testing, you had tools such as SOAP UI and all. Okay, if you search Google, you can find out. Okay, SOAP UI and all you had, which were used for testing. But then, so who came up with the idea of RESTful services? At least anybody know the name of that person? Okay, if you don't know, you can say N. Okay, so you don't have to say I can. Okay, good. Okay, if you say N, you will. So if you say N for anything, then you will definitely learn. Okay, because you have put an effort, then it is a human tendency. If you say you don't know to anything, your mind will be curious about it. Okay, so humans will have that curiosity to know what it is, and then when I say so, or like what Srinivas said, okay, so then it will stay in your mind for long. Okay, always take that effort to say no for things that you don't know. Okay, some interviews even look for that. Okay, whether you are frank about telling no about things you don't know. Okay, yeah, Roy Fielding is the person who came up with the idea of REST through his PhD dissertation. Okay, so REST means a representational state transfer, and it says that you can represent an object in any form. Okay, you are representing an object in any form, and it can be that representation can be transferred. Okay, it can be represented using text, or it can be represented using XML. It can be represented using JSON. So these days JSON is more popular compared to XML and other text. Okay, in future something else might also come. Okay, so REST is not limited to any particular format. It is representation of an object. So here points. So points can be considered as an object, and it can be represented. So and another point is it does not have any particular protocol or format. Okay, it REST actually just reuses the existing HTTP protocol. So that is why I asked about HTTP protocol initially. So how many of you said here you know about HTTP protocol? All those who said you know about HTTP protocol. So how many of you can tell? Okay, you have to answer yes or no immediately. Okay, so how many of you can tell what is the difference between a post and put method in RESTful or HTTP? Forget about REST. Okay, how many of you can tell about the difference between post and put in HTTP? Okay, post is okay. Some people said no, but some people said the post is used for adding, and put is used for updating. But how did you decide post is used for adding and then put is used for updating? Another question. So today, so because many people have the misconception that they know certain things. So today, at least, our objective about this first session is to make sure to make you understand where you lack, and then help you learn or focus, and then concentrate on those areas and prepare well. Because most of the good product development companies do not ask you about how you do certain configuration on the cloud first. Okay, first they will ask you about the basics, essentials like this one. Okay, so how many of you know about an idempotent request and a non-idempotent request? The difference between post and put, if somebody asks, the answer should be one is idempotent and one is not idempotent. For example, if you have a equal to a plus 1 operation, so every time you execute it, a equal to a plus 1, the result will change, right? But if you have an operation such as c equal to 5, irrespective of the number of times you execute c equal to 5, c equal to 5, it will be always c equal to 5. Okay, so that is the difference between post and put in theory, or in as per guidelines. Okay, whenever you use post, it should be for some operation that creates something new. Okay, and if you execute it more than once, the result will be different ideally. But you can design, if your application is not designed properly, you might use put for this, and you might use a post for updating. Again, the browser or the compiler or nothing on the way will complain about it, because these are all guidelines, not rules. In SOAP, everything was rule, but here it is all guideline. Okay, so that is one thing. So those kind of terms, things, and all you will need to learn and understand. Okay, so now coming back to our rest, our original thing, most important thing. So why I asked about put, post, idempotency, and all those things. Okay, so many people, when Roy Fielding came up with this approach, many people actually thought, okay, so we don't have to learn about SOAP, and it is using existing protocol. We don't need any other tool. We just need a browser. So everybody jumped into Rust. But then initially there was a huge mess. Okay, that mess was with primarily with the URLs, and all the URLs look like the URLs that you pinged me today. Okay, and then another guy came up with something called as maturity model for RESTful services. Can somebody tell me who that guy was and that guy's name was? So it was called as Richardson's maturity model. So he said, if you are building your URLs, he put different levels. If you are building your URLs like this, then it is going to be at level 0. Okay, so then if you are doing a little more better, it will be level 1. It will again better, it will be level 2, and very good, it will be level 3. So he has something, so few things such as using HTTP verbs correctly, right? Head, this put, post, delete, and update, and also things such as using correct response codes and using correct URLs. All these things were there, and in the advanced version, it was also there was also things such as there is a thing called as HATOS. So how many of you know about this acronym called HATOS? Okay, so don't worry, it is very advanced. So normally in your first level of interviews or initial basic understanding, HATOS is not needed. It is a level 3, I believe. So, but at least the basic things should be there. Okay, so and the basic things means you should be denoting what you need to do. Okay, so first thing is you shouldn't have any verbs. Okay, so in English, verbs and nouns and all those things, right? Okay, you should not have any verb in the URL. Okay, so how many of you had verbs? So add, create, update, all these things are verbs, right? Okay, at least in this session we will not teach English, but we have another English training session series for people who want to improve their communication. Okay, so in this session we will not teach about nouns or verbs or pronouns or any of those things. Okay, so tell me, most of you had verbs in your URL. Okay, so that is the first thing that needs to be avoided in a RESTful web service. Okay, if your interviewer is asking you to design a URL, and if you have verbs in a URL, immediately he will get an idea that you don't know REST properly. Okay, RESTful services should not have verbs in the URL. Okay, I asked about the 4 services, right? CRUD, 4 CRUD operation services, right? A pure or a very good RESTful service will have same URL for all those 4. Most of you answered, so that is the reason why I asked for 4 URLs. Okay, all the 4 will be same in case of a good design, good RESTful design. So now the next question is, if all the URLs are same, how will I make sure whether I want to do get or put or post or update? Okay, so that is where your HTTP verbs come. Okay, so if you do some source analysis of your HTTP request, you have a different tools to do that, wireframes or some. There are many tools, simple ones, difficult ones. If you see, your HTTP request has it will specify which method, okay, whether it is a put, post, or delete or get. Okay, so based on that, you should tell whether I need to read points or whether I need to update points, whether I need to delete points. So it should be based on those HTTP parameters, and none of the verbs should come in the URL. Okay, so everybody, or at least 90% of people in the group told that they know Rust. Okay, it is not the Rust that we do at home. Okay, you said that you know RESTful services. Okay, most of you said. Okay, so knowing about something and knowing about it properly has a huge difference. Okay, so that is where there is a gap. Okay, so everybody has a gap, and then better people will realize that gap, and then you will try to minimize that gap. Okay, so explore more about these things. Okay, explore more about all the terms that I mentioned. Okay, and so think about where you lack, where you need more help, where you can contribute to others. So in the Azure Projects Initiative, unlike all other initiatives, uh, I don't want the listeners. Okay, so then it will be double trouble for me also. Okay, I want only contributors. Okay, so if you go to go and contribute to an open source project, you cannot just be a passive listener or a reader. Okay, there is nothing such as a reader in open source contribution, right? So you have to be a contributor. Okay, so in similar case here, you have to contribute in some way. Okay, so we have this Azure projects group. Okay, people are not even putting that effort to tick or write on what they can contribute. Okay, so there are some membership questions in our Facebook group also. Nobody is putting that effort to even tick that and write, fill the details, and then they expect to expect us to believe that okay, they can do the project. Okay, at least do those basic things. Okay, so yeah, Ashley has asked, can you please share a list of terms which we can explore with respect to projects so that we can explore? Okay, so I mentioned all those terms today, but again, in the next session, I will tell about those themes in detail along with the PPT, and then you can pick it up. Difference between put and post is something that I was searching for years, but nobody till date gave me a convincing answer. You got convincing answer now, Ashley? Okay, thank you. Okay, so those are the basic engineering things that you need to learn before actually getting your hands dirty, because that is where many training institutes fail also. So they focus on certifications, and then they will tell, and then we will give a real world project and all. But unless you actually teach them the basics, okay, so that is where an engineering course like MTech or BTech is different from just a course on certifications. Even bigger companies are learning those things, and they are doing similar things. Okay, so we will there is lot of things you can learn, and knowledge is never a waste. Okay, so if you really want to learn, I can help, but there should be a significant effort from your side also. It was no PPT session. I didn't had any PPT at all. So how many of you believe here that you have learned at least something new that you never knew before? So how many of you believe that you have changed your perspective about hands-on projects or software engineering in general, at least by 1%? Good. So okay. Then so this time is useful for both you and me. Okay. So always believe that it is so. Don't jump into doing hands-on projects without understanding these things. Okay. So these are the basic things, and so whenever you go for real interviews, it is not just about how you work on the cloud. It is mostly about these things. Okay, the core engineering things that I mentioned. Okay, so you need to understand other things also. Other things we will discuss more in our next session with the PPTs and all. I don't want to drag a lot of time now, but I want to let you know that okay, there are many things that you need to learn to be a better engineer. Okay, and the more you know, definitely the more opportunities you will get, and even in your current company, you will, you know, like, so if it is a startup company, they may not worry a lot about your code, okay, about how you are design. They might think about only getting things done, okay, but eventually it will be a maintenance mess. And before winding up, how many of you know about solid principles here? Okay, so I'm telling many terms in these non-PPT sessions because it will raise a question in your mind. It will create curiosity, and then you can read more. Okay, so solid principles again. I have taken a session, whole session on it on a real meetup. So uh, it is generally for object-oriented based applications. So you can say that an application is good or bad. So that is where you should improve yourself. So many people say, so they many people come and say they need real world projects, but I wanted to make sure you know what is required for you to do those real world projects and to make it more effective. Okay, in next session I will also share the plan for completing different projects, different modules for these projects. And so we also, because we'll be doing those projects alongside, I'll be also writing, and so Sneha will be actually taking a lead on the project development part, and I'll be taking lead on mentoring, and I'll be taking lead on the core engineering concepts, and so we'll do it as a team altogether. And if any of you want to contribute in any way, you can come forward, because these kind of things do not happen, because even contribution is part of your real world project experience. You need to be a team player. You cannot do learn these things just by watching TV. Real world projects cannot be learned by watching TV. So that is our groups primary difference among all other groups, because in all other groups you will see a lot of videos shared, lot of blogs shared, lot of YouTube channels shared. But in our group, we will focus on live or real time situations and real time scenarios where real people come, share their knowledge, uh, who they take questions from others, and then we will learn together and then grow together. Okay, and once you share, once you share about a topic, you can definitely share about your channel, blog, or whatever you want. But we don't want people to simply come and share their channels or blogs or other links, and just get people confused. Okay, we want only real people in the group. Again, if anybody want to share their things, they can share in the marketplace groups or ads groups, so that we have created separate ones. So but in the real group, we want more live, more real time, and more real people. So are you all part of the WhatsApp groups? Okay, I will do one thing. So project specific WhatsApp groups we will create new, but currently we have a AWS and Azure specific groups. Okay, you can do one thing. I will message it in this chat now. Okay, because I don't because you can see many people mentioning. Okay, many people sharing their WhatsApp groups in Facebook and other public places, but I don't prefer that, because I want only people who have put at least some effort to join the groups. Otherwise, it will be definitely spammers. So if you have put your effort to come into this Zoom meeting, you have put some effort, definitely. So I'll share. I have not taken that and link. So I'll do one thing. I'll share the mobile number to which you can send a message telling whether you want to join to AWS group or Azure group or both. Okay, so another outcome of this initiative is that we'll be doing the same project for both AWS and Azure. So it will be an opportunity for people who want to decide whether I need to build an application, whether I should go for AWS or Azure. And those who are attending it from Facebook Live, you also have the opportunity to join the group. So today by evening, okay, I will be sharing the WhatsApp group link in mail to whoever who have registered in the weekly connect page. Okay, so when you register for weekly connect page, make sure your email notifications are enabled, then only you will receive the invitation. Okay, so many people accidentally switch off email notification, so I've added a note there on how to verify whether your email notification is correct or not. So after we started these real time sessions, live sessions, so close to 2000 or 1500 to 2000 people have been joining per week, and it is a very positive sign, right? So we have to keep the momentum, we have to keep it going. And as most of you know, I have taken leaves to actually make this group in current state, and I have to join back at my work, where I'm taking up a new responsibility, very senior responsibility, and I need most of you to help me maintain this group in the cleaner and active way. Okay, can you share the recording of this video before we have the evening session? Yes, I will try to share. Okay, so I am assuming every one of you could learn something, and this session was useful to you. Thank you all for joining, and you can also share your thoughts about on what do you think about I said today, I talked about today. Was it useful, and um, how I can improve, and how you have planned to improve yourself? Okay, because there are many people who does not come to these sessions thinking there is no value in it just because it is free. Okay, so your messages will help you, help me understand better, and make sessions better, and even help those people of that scary cats to actually see some value in these initiatives. Okay, thank you all again for attending this session, and see you all in next session. So I'll share the exact time, details, meeting invite, and all those things in the WhatsApp groups. So join the WhatsApp groups, and let us stay connected, and do not share the WhatsApp groups in any other forums. Okay, so thank you all. Have a good day if you are in India, and have a good night if you are in US. And people like Srinivas who have got up early at 3:30 can sleep for a little bit more time. Okay, so bye bye all, and see you all soon.